Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Branching Factor. I'm your host Tommy Thompson, and today actually we're going to be replaying footage from my recent Q&A that I ran over on the main YouTube channel announcing my project Goal State. So if you haven't caught up with what's happening right now, last week I announced a new project of mine called Goal State. Now, Goal State is really sort of an extension of the work that I do on AI in games, my YouTube channel and the Substack of the same name, where I explore the inner workings of artificial intelligence within the video games industry. And critically, one of the things that has always been a challenge with AI in games is that it's sort of a high-level overview of the topics that we're trying to cover. It's designed as edutainment, right? I write video essays that are with the intent of just informing people on a sort of high level, but a lot of the things that happen in production when it comes to the applications of AI for video games. But I've always wanted to go one step further. And to that end, I announced Goal State, which is going to be a series of online courses teaching people how to implement a lot of these AI systems and tools that we discuss in a lot of the main episodes of AI in games, but actually do it yourself in game engines. And actually, if you're interested in trying to learn how to become an AI developer for video games, this is really going to be built to support that. So we're running a Kickstarter towards the end of 2024. Date is not finalized at this point, but I wanted to, announce that I'm working on this and try and drive a bit of interest towards the project itself. And so we announced the project last week. And I do recommend, if you want to learn a little bit more about it, head on over to AIingames.com. There's a big blog in which I explain, but not only is there a video there where I dig into what I'm actually going to be doing and how it's going to be structured, but also critically, like some of my personal feelings on why I decided to go about doing this. But on top of that, I wanted to just try and answer as many questions as I can at this point, as I'm gradually revealing more and more information about how Goal State is going to work and what are my goals, I guess, for Goal State. And so I hosted a Q&A over on the main AI in Games YouTube channel just last week. And so I figured, hey, I will give you a slightly redacted, or rather trimmed down, it's not redacted, but trimmed down version of it, because I was also playing Balatro during. Also, I've since discovered, if you watch it, I do actually ask my audience, how do you pronounce the name of that game? It is apparently Balatro, not Balatro, as I have been saying for far too long. But we'll give you a slightly trimmed down version of that Q&A, and yeah, enjoy. But yes, we are here because Goal State is a thing, and I can actually talk about it because I've been sitting on this for a very long time. So I thought what I'd do tonight is I'm gonna run a Q&A on Goal State. First of all, thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in and watched the announcement video, or maybe you saw it on socials or whatever else. But I really appreciate overall the general response has been really positive. Naturally, people have got questions, concerns, existential crises, and what have you, which is totally valid. After all, I mean, who am I? Do you really trust me to teach you AI in video games? You can teach me to drink Iron Brew on stream. As always, like I really need to get Bar to give me a sponsorship at this point. But yeah, so yeah, I figured what I'd do is answer questions and just generally hang out for an hour or two and maybe play a game while I'm doing it. Something not stressful. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll play a bit of Balatro or something, which on the other hand, that could be quite stressful because Balatro, you got to think a lot. There's a lot of numbers. But anyway, we're going to play something chill while I'm talking about all things Goal State. In fact, just to bring people up to speed, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we announced, let's just drag stuff over onto the appropriate window, the window that I can show, not the window that I don't want to show right now because this stuff isn't quite ready yet. Let me see if I can get the stream things to all line up correctly the way I want. Bear with me. There we go. Go over here. And then is that... No, because it's not going to show it. Gah! Right. Don't want that. We want this. Hey, that's exactly the thing I wanted. Cool. So... Alright. So here we go. let's get into it. So yes, goal state. Goal state was a thing that I announced yesterday, which looks very small on that monitor. Let's zoom in a little bit. But yeah, I thought let's start with what the whole point of this is, and then we'll get a little bit into questions about it and everything else, because I understand, and also I may be able to share a little bit more. I'll have a lot of stuff already written down for this, because like I said, I've been planning this for a little while, but I just don't have it in a nicely polished format. Like I have spreadsheets, which are just gaggles of stuff that's all thrown together. But anyway, let's get to the basics. So first and foremost, goal state. You can now follow it on Kickstarter. It is a project that is coming to Kickstarter later this year. It is my project. It is the first Kickstarter that I've tried to run. It isn't the first, well, I've funded many a Kickstarter, but it's the first one that I am trying to run. And the whole point of this was I wanted to be able to run my own equivalent of courses, like actual teaching full-fledged AI for video games. You've watched all the YouTube videos. You know what I do. You know that I do it in a kind of largely edutainment fashion. It's always video essays that are designed to be kind of bite-sized, informative. What if we went long format? What if we went for something bigger, more fleshed out? The equivalent of, in my head, actually the first course of Goal State is 3 university classes put together. 2.5 maybe, pushing it maybe 3. But definitely the idea is that I wanted to do a university-style curriculum that people can pick up and explore at their own pace. And critically, I wanted to do it at the level of quality that AI in games is. And that means it's very time consuming to do it. Hence, I wanted to run a Kickstarter for it. So as it doesn't really give you much information here. So actually, let me just point out, this Kickstarter page is ready to go. I could click live on this tomorrow and we would be up and running. But I didn't want to do that because it's, I mean, 1, it's a risky thing. 2, I wanted to build up some awareness of what I'm trying to do with this, and you know, essentially try and get as many of you on board with the idea of throwing money at this thing before I go ahead and actually put it out there. No, I was going to say before I actually start building it. That's not true. I've actually started building a lot of this, and that's what I've been doing in the back for the last year or so. That really, this is a mechanism to get the whole Goal State initiative off the ground, and then once we've got the first course ready, which is really what I'm trying to fund with this, is fund the first course, of which I have spec'd 3 courses so far already. Really, it's just a mechanism to get this up and running, get it off the ground, and then this becomes an ongoing, persistent thing that sits in parallel to AI in games. Let's see, I'm just seeing in the chat there, Alan Zacconi saying, don't make the course too good or I'm going to lose my job at the college. Right, now, this actually addresses something. We're going to get onto this in a little bit. That this isn't intended to replace anything. It's intended as a supplement. It's intended to help people. And critically, so, you know, full disclosure, I know Alan in real life. We chat on the regular, and Alan is a university lecturer, a very good one at that, over at Goldsmiths University in London. Teaches game development, teaches AI in game development. You might remember we had him on for an interview during one of our COVID live streams many moons ago. And so yeah, but the idea isn't I'm going to put Alan out of a job, because I think that's impossible. Alan is a man of many talents. Rather, what I want to do is get us to a point where the stuff I'm doing can help someone like Alan. It's I don't have any material for this, and it's well, here's a bunch of existing lectures and slides and written stuff and practical examples that you can then use as boilerplate to go and build on your own thing. Or critically, you might just be someone who isn't in a university course, who's then like, well, I just want to be able to learn this stuff at my own pace. Then Goal State will enable for that as well. That's the idea. So first of all, let's just post some links in the chat. So actually, hang on, where do I do this? Where do I do this? Right, there we go. If you want to follow no, God, I don't want to do that. Just, that's annoying. Never mind. I'll post it in here over on Twitch, and I'll post it here in the YouTubes. So there you go. That's the link to the Kickstarter. You can follow it now to be notified when it goes live. I mean, full disclosure, it will not be going live until, I would argue, late August at the earliest, because I have stuff to do. And we have some very big episodes of AI and Games coming up. I'm also on the road. I've got the AI and Games Summer School in 3 weeks. I've got Slosh Dagstool for a research retreat in 4 weeks. We have Develop coming up, and I've got a video and a talk. Well, I've got a talk that's happening at Develop, which is also going to tie into a video that I'm releasing. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So it was like, right, I really wanted like a good couple of weeks uninterrupted to get into all things Goal State and run this Kickstarter. But I also wrote this long form piece that you can find over on the AI and Games website. So yeah, fun fact, I actually have a website. I don't know if how many of you actually visit it. But yes, aiandgames.com has existed now for a little while. And really, it's where I put a lot of written stuff. But also, actually, just while we're here, why not just point out, I write a weekly newsletter that I started doing this year. So you can subscribe. And every week, I am writing news stories. I just try and keep up to date. So those of you who follow me on AI and Games Plus, the other YouTube channel, you'll see videos a lot that are about industry-related stuff, and that often ties into what I'm writing here. I only just moved it over to aiandgames.com. It actually started as a newsletter on LinkedIn. But anyway, let's see. Right, so already questions coming in, which is great. One of the things... hang on, I'm actually going to... I'm going to start a Q&A in the chat over on YouTube for this, which, there we go. You should now see that, I think. Which will sit alongside the live chat, because Unpop Avocado has already asked a question. I will get back to that. So I just wanted to quickly point this out, because I wrote this and put it out on the AI and Games YouTube channel, and really the Substack, and really what I was trying to get across here is that why am I wearing my headphones? Because I can't hear anything right now. There's no point. Not until we get some gaming going. This is kind of, when I wrote this, it was me trying to explain where my head is and why I decided to go ahead with doing all this. And critically, for me, one of the things I'm really trying to approach with Goal State is that I feel that I could do more. Because I'm really fortunate and I'm really grateful that I meet a lot of people who go to events and stuff like that. You know, I was meeting people at GDC. I was meeting a bunch of people at a recent event here in London. I went to a couple of events in London and met people. And some of them are fans. Some of them watch the YouTube channel. Some of them, you know what? I actually had someone say to me, where they said, oh, are you the guy that writes the AI and Games Substack? And I was like, oh, wow, this is the first time someone's recognized me for this Substack, which was really cool. But, you know, I get to meet a lot of people who engage with the work that I do. And critically, it was really nice chatting to people who have said, like, oh, these videos are really useful. The stuff that I write is really useful because it helps them in their job or in their work or in their studies. They're at university or whatever. And so I was really thinking about this. By all means, go away and read this full piece if you want. But I really want to point on to a couple of things. So one of the things I wrote here is that, to my mind, like, AI and Games is not enough in its current form. It was designed to be a high-level overview of topics. And critically, I actually get into this a little bit because, as far as I'm concerned, AI and Games satisfies its overall remit. AI and Games, this YouTube channel right now, or the Twitch channel, whatever, is edutainment. It's designed to be high-level and informative and kind of fun. But it doesn't get into the weeds as much as you would... You know, like, Alan will know he's not going to get a P45 jack. He's going to be fine. Like, Alan will know you can't teach AI for game development just by giving them a playlist of my videos. And, you know, I've had that joke thrown at me for years where people say to me, oh, why don't you just, you know, throw out a bunch of, you know, like, because I taught a game AI class many moons ago. So why don't you just make a bunch of your YouTube videos as a playlist and then go, right, I'll see you in 12 weeks. It's like, well, because it doesn't go in as much detail as you need. Like, actually, a lot of these videos are, what I tend to find is a lot of people, they use it as a supplement to something else they're doing. Or critically, I talk to game developers who are like, oh, this was great because it just helped me figure out enough about what I needed to know to then go and dig into it further on my own, right? And critically, things like certain episodes of AI in games, people look at it as like, oh, this was a really nice overview of a bunch of other resources that now it helps. I actually had a developer tell me this. It's like, I give cliff notes on GDC talk, so it helps them figure out whether they need to go and watch the whole talk. So they're like, oh, right, this was super informative. I actually don't need to learn any more about this because it isn't really relevant to what I'm trying to do, or it isn't really scratching an itch. But if it is, then they go, right, well, there's the talks that he based it on, there's the book chapters he based it on, etc. So to me, it was the idea was it has to be something more long form and interconnected in the same way that AI in games is. So this is actually something that comes up later on in this article. That one of the big problems with my work on AI in games is I'm often trying to teach you interesting things that happen without the theoretical underpinning, which as an academic, that's not how you do it. You teach the theory and then you give context. And that's how AI in games started. The original video is based on, and we talked about this in the recent 10-year reflections episode. The original video on fear is based on the idea that I was trying to come up with this extra supplementary piece of material that reinforced something I was teaching in a lecture for my students, and that they could go and watch that. And critically, the whole thing of it being a video was actually, I used to do it as an actual lecture. I got into trouble. I had disciplinary meetings about it because of the amount of noise, formal complaints raised against me and everything. It was quite funny. But yeah, so the idea was I wanted to do different material every year because I did this fear lecture like 2 years in a row or something. And then I thought, oh, maybe I make a video of the fear topic, and then I can go and do something else next year. And that was how that all kind of came together. So I just want to make sure that the questions are okay. Good. The questions are appearing in the questions bit. That's good. I just wanted to double check that's actually happening because I'm just looking at the live chat as I go. So really, I wanted to try and, with one of the things then that's emerged as a problem with AI in games, the way that it's done is it is always about application in context, but I don't get to talk about theory as much as I would like. And that, because without theory, it doesn't allow for this connective tissue. So one of the funny things is, of course, those of you who've been watching for a long time will know AI 101 exists. I've been making that video series very sporadically for a while now. And what AI 101 does is trying to build connective tissue, is trying to build theory, because I'm trying to cover these core concepts that are going to occur a lot in other videos. And it's done for two reasons. And actually, I put it here. The massively self-referential way in which my YouTube channel runs is both a desire to ensure viewers understand that not only is everything fundamentally connected, and critically that no great ideas exist in isolation, right? Every time you see a really great idea in a game, or like the AI of a game, it's often, it's actually like, oh, they're stealing bits from different things, and and it's not even stealing, it's just they're inspired by other things, and they see people come to these new ideas because they've got all these existing ideas in their head. And that's often the thing that I think sometimes people don't see when they don't have that background, is that they see a new thing in a game and go, oh, wow, that sounds amazing. And it's like, this sounds revolutionary and mind-blowing, and why has nobody done it before? It's like, well, actually, people have been doing it for years, but they never did it like that. So things like AI 101 was really just to make sure that there's connectivity or connective tissue, but also that to prevent me repeating myself, given I don't want to have to explain for every episode what a behavior tree is. It's kind of AI in game structure is a retcon. It's like I'm having to figure out how to teach, and it's like I'm trying to teach an AI class, except I'm not actually teaching an AI class. I'm giving you video essays every month that actually happen to have an educational underpinning to them. So this was a big part of why I was thinking about Goal State a lot, of how do we structure all that together. Colleges trying to stop their own staff from creating online educational material is somewhat disgraceful. I mean, we should be building our own material. Although, funnily enough, one of the things I do actually point out later in this article is one of my big problems right now with all of this is that universities will often then take ownership of it. So any work that you created for the institution, they therefore own at that point. And so that means critically, like I've done stuff where I've made teaching material. I have years of teaching material, but I couldn't share it in its current format because it's owned by one of the 3 universities I've worked for over the past 10 plus years. So funnily enough, like a lot of the stuff that I am going to teach, I already have a lot of the core raw material lying around because I've taught it before and I've taught it several times, but I've never taught it like this. So it's going to be right. I get to adapt it to my own style, and my own approach. So this was a big part of it is I want to try and do this disconnected from universities, but also allow me to go deeper and spend longer covering a lot of things that I wouldn't get to do otherwise. This here is a very long ramble about also how I'm trying to consolidate information because there's so many textbooks out there that you could read. And critically, I talk a lot about the AI game programming wisdom books and also the Game AI Pro books that Steve Rabin, who I work with at GDC, has organized over the years. And then, but also, like, we recently had Game AI Uncovered. Like, these are great resources, but actually, funnily enough, in order to read them, you need to have a background in AI to understand a lot of it. So again, AI in games, I often try and consolidate all this and put it all together in a way that's more accessible if you don't have that AI background, but I want to try and find a way to bring all this together. So I can already see there's lots of good questions coming in. So I think maybe we should start focusing on answering some. Also, I just really like this because that's one of my lecturing awards for being lecturer of the year. That's also an award I won as a lecturer, but all it is a mug that I can put tea in. Anyway, I've put the link in the chat. If you want to go and read that more and hear a little bit more of my thoughts behind all this, then by all means, go for it. I'm going to turn off the music. We don't need the music right now. I'm going to get into the questions. No, don't end the Q&A. I haven't even got to the Q&A yet. Good Lord. Let's see. Actually, some of the questions are not appearing in the Q&A bit, but anyway. So let me go back into the main chat while I'm also trying to figure out how to get stuff started over on. Actually, I'm going to move that window over there because that has a whole bunch of like notes relevant to goal state, which I might have to bring up if somebody asks me a question. I'm going to start a game in the background. So I've got something else going on in between. So I'm not sitting here looking like an absolute anxious numpty the whole time. But good questions coming in. Right. Good, great. Let me make sure that's all syncing together nicely. And then I'm just going to jump straight into the Q&A. Tommy, what are you doing? There it is. What is going on over there? That's fun. Okay. And, ooh, that's intense. There we go. That's better. Okay. I'm going to play me some bilateral while answering a bunch of questions. So let's go back up to the top because there was stuff very early on in the chat. Because this wasn't phrased as a question, so I don't think the Q&A would have caught it. Once the Kickstarter is completed, are you planning to release this course on other platforms? Yes, but not entirely. So I think actually to answer this, there's 2 parts of this answer. First of all, the platform, it will end up getting hosted on the likes of Coursera, Teachable, or what have you, but also a lot of the lecture components. So this is actually something I need to start talking about structure. The structure of the course is actually broken up into into 4 different things in my head. There is is it 3? There's lectures. Actually, there's 4. There's lectures. There is analysis. There is tutorials, and there is homework assignments. So it's broken up into stuff that you can just watch passively, stuff that you then actually do practically, stuff that I challenge you to do, and I give you the answer, or encourage you to see if you can find the answer yourself. And then also analyses is sort of, let's do source code deep dives. Let's actually do an episode of AI in Games that's an hour long, and all I'm doing is picking apart source code of games that we actually have access to. Speaking of, do you know you can get the access, that technically, Bilateral is just a giant compressed file because of the game engine it's built in. You can unzip the source code of Bilateral if you have the executable. saw this bouncing around online. I did it myself, and I was like, holy shit, that actually works. I just sat and read the code of Balatro. Alan, if you didn't know that, you could do that as a lecture. I think that'd be good fun. So yeah, the lectures will get released on the Goal State YouTube channel eventually, but the whole course, particularly the practical parts, will only be available for people who sign up on the course on like Udemy, Teachable, Coursera, or whatever it is. Speaking of, currently there is nothing on the YouTube channel. It already exists. Hang on, let me go and find the URL and I'll share it with you. There is no videos on it. I'm going to start rolling that out gradually. But yeah, if you really want, you can also go and subscribe to the Goal State YouTube channel. There's like 3 people subscribing right now. So there you go. So yes, it will come out on other platforms, and it will critically, the lectures will become freely available at some point in the future on the Goal State YouTube channel, but the practical elements will not. Because the practical elements are going to be continually updated to accommodate for things like engine changes. So this actually comes back to, the practical parts of the course going to be in Unity. The current plan is that the vanilla version of the course as it is shipped will be in, we will actually start writing pure C#, no engine, and then we'll also write in Unity. If we can hit a then subsequent stretch goal, we will also re-implement the entire course in Unreal, because I realize that's important. We need to, I would personally, if I could, if I get it fully funded the way I want, it'll be in Unity, Unreal, and then also potentially we're going to do other stuff. Critically for this first course, the Game AI 101, we don't have to do any Python integration because we're not doing machine learning, but I've already got that factored in for the future courses that we will also be writing Python in the future courses, because the second course is ML for Games 101. I've already spec'd it, and there's a lot of Python programming in that because you need to know how to train an ML model in like PyTorch or whatever. So let's see, jumping in. Thank you for that. That was a good start to the questions. Just a comment from Erzatz. As long as the courses are not simplistic, it only works if you specifically do this in this order, YouTube style, I'll be very happy. I want actual knowledge to feed my existing knowledge. Okay. Right, this is actually, right, so I have now won on these 2 decks, but I haven't won with this deck. Right. So you'll notice when I said earlier, I broke it up into lectures, tutorials, homework, etc. The lectures are all written as if it's a university curriculum. So I've described it in the video when I started talking about, oh, I just realized we aren't getting the audio of the game, but I should probably fix that. There we go. Let's get some creepy Balatro music going on. So I've broke it up in such a way that the lectures and tutorials are connected to each other, but critically the lectures only connect to one another and the tutorials expect you to have watched certain lectures. And then the tutorials are broken up in such a way that you'll be building individual features. And then what happens is that the further we go in through the course, you'll be able to expand on a feature you've already built because you're now doing it. You're now doing it in context of the lecture that we've just gave. So I'll give you a really good example of this. As I said earlier, the course is broken up into 3 separate classes. In the back half of the Foundations of AI class, I teach you planning, and you will write a simple planner, not a mind-bogglingly good one. But you'll learn to write a planner. The planner is not built to run in a game engine. It'll be written entirely in C#, but you can then easily port it into a game engine. And there's a point to this, because I want to teach you the idea in isolation. And this is going to build on stuff that we've already done on state space explorations and the idea of grounded search algorithms, grounded and informed search algorithms. But we're going to write a very simple planner, because to write a very complex planner would actually take a lot of work. The next step actually not the next step after it, but in the next course, in the AI for Games course, you'll then also, in complete isolation, you're going to learn how to write a finite state machine. And we're going to try and create something that's evocative of the AI of Half-Life, by and large. But 2 sections after we do finite state machines, we then do goal-oriented action planning. And so for that, you're going to take the stuff that you already did in the planning bit and the stuff you did in the FSM bit. we'll have a whole series of lectures that explains how it's slightly different and what it does compared to traditional FSMs and traditional planning. And then you're going to write your own GOP planner and you're going to put it into Unity and hopefully Unreal down the line. So the idea is that I'm teaching you these things in isolation, like theoretically, and then we go and do the practical bits. But the practical bits all can link to the theory. And critically, the theory also, one of the things, if you've never taught if you've never taught anything, you haven't thought about one of the things that I built into this is what are the learning outcomes and what are the key threshold concepts you're going to learn at different phases, because then they become prerequisites. So when you actually go and do the course, say you decide to jump ahead, and it's like, oh, I really want to do the bit on, what the GOP examples are a really good one. It's like, well, actually, you really should have completed the bit on finite state machines, and you should have completed the bit on planning in the other course, because these things all come together and will help reinforce that. And critically, in the same way that I've got it planned, that I'm going to write it and deliver it in the same way that I do AI in games, where I go, hey, if this doesn't make sense, go and watch this. And critically, if you've sat and done the course in the order that I'm going to, prescribe it, you should be familiar with it, but also you can jump back to it when necessary. So we're teaching the theory separate from the practice, but the practice is going to rely on the theory. And the reason for that is some people might just not want to learn don't want to learn the practical part. They just want to understand the theoretical part. That's fine. But also for people, it's important that you get some grounding in the theory and then try and apply it, because then you're going to see the practical challenges that emerge when you try and put these things together. And also it allows me, when I'm writing the code in the practical sessions, to talk to you more about why I'm doing certain things the way I'm doing them. That's the theory for it. So, oh yeah, also to Unpop Avocado said, so will Gold State have more theory as the curriculum, or will you be leaning more towards practical use, like how to implement AI state in Unreal? Both. And you should understand the theory of it and understand how to do it yourself. That's the goal of Goal State. By planners, do you mean by hierarchical task network planners? We won't be starting with HTNs. Ideally, if we get enough funding to get it over the line, I will add HTNs into it. We're actually going to start with strips. Not quite. We're going to start like really basic planners. And that, because that's essentially what GOP is built on. GOP is GOP is a slightly different approach to strips, because strips actually is a backward search planner and not a forward search planner, and you'll understand what that means and actually what challenges that brings with it. But critically, because if you teach basic strips or PDDL style planning, you can then understand how HTN and HGN planners work. Funnily enough, HGN planners are going to come up in the next video. Right. So thanks for that, Andrew. I'm going to go into the actual question bit. Alan says, what would be the format of the Goal State videos and how different would they look from your current YouTube videos? They'll look very similar in the sense that, as you know, I've got, well, similar but also different, because I have a visual style, right? I already have a style that I work towards. You're going to see more of me in them, because critically, my being able to express my body language and be able to express things to you in a certain way, I find is more valuable in a face-to-face, interactive educational context. Like, certainly, even when I taught online during COVID, having the ability for my students to see me, I found was really, really valuable. Playing cards can be purchased from the shop. I don't know if that's a good one. All right, let's have a look at the... Give me a good Joker, come on. I'll take that one. Already, this is not a good start. So it's going to have a bit more of me in it. We're going to see, like I said, like the theoretical elements, the lectures will appear more like an AI in Games episode, but with more of me front-facing and talking to the camera directly. Whereas the tutorials will be much more me narrating as I'm writing code, or going over code that I've already written and explaining why it's written the way it is. So you'll see a lot of... It'll have its own visual identity, but I'm trying to keep it in a way that is as close to how I do things with AI in games as possible. And that's partially because I already have a pipeline that I've built for how to make videos quickly. Alan, you and I have had this conversation before. You're like, how on earth do you put out a video a month? And it's like, because I have a pipeline of how these things all go together, and like things get standardized and templated in ways that make my life a little bit easier. But they will be different. They won't be quite as it won't be quite as loose. It'll be a little bit more formal because I'm trying to teach you. But nonetheless, it'll be, hopefully it'll still be entertaining. That's the goal anyway. Let's see. So how can I then, is there an easy way for me to just, right, select question. Are there any differences between Goal State and the other AI course which are available in the market? Yeah, Penny. I know who you're talking about. Holistic 3D. In essence, what I want to do is, I find that too many courses do not do theory enough, and we do not actually get to connective tissue. And one of the big reasons for that is because, bear with me. People find stuff like this intimidating. Look at that. Look at that. That's a beast. I find that this is one of the things I generally find really frustrating about a lot of courses that are taught, is that we do not get to cover the theory as much as we should cover the practice. And equally, we do get a lot of stuff covers practice. Holistic 3D does great tutorials. I'm not going to discount their work. I think what they do is great. What I want to do is something that's a bit more in line with my own perspectives on how to teach. In that I feel that you should be able to do the theoretical bit, do the practical bit, and then afterwards you're empowered to go off and do whatever you want after it. So, let's see. Next question. I am an avid 1.5 speed video consumer. Assuming learning materials will be streamed, will the video player have a video speed function? Well, yes, ideally we're going to have that somewhere that you can. And in fact, I will double check whatever platform we do end up on at the end, that there is a speed function. Worst case scenario, all the videos will just be private for people on the YouTube channel as well, and they can skim it through, screw it there. Unpop Avocado, I think, already asked this question about engines. Right now, the primary engines are Unity and Unreal. Godot, I think, would be a fun extension to add on to that. Unreal and Unity are currently my two priorities, just based solely on the fact that, well, those are the two engines that the vast majority of people use. So, but yes, I wouldn't object if the course did well enough that we then extend it to Godot as well. Because I've written some stuff in Godot. It's fun. It's a cool engine. It's just a case of, okay, every engine I add adds another God knows how many hours to my work, you know? So that is actually something I need to factor in. So I already have a budget breakdown of like how long I think it's going to take me to do everything. And I actually broke down the practical bits even into, oh, well, we got to build the boilerplate code for this. We need to build this thing so I can reuse it in different contexts or whatever. But I haven't actually went, oh, what happens if we pivot from one engine to the other? I'm going to have to go and build all this extra stuff. But yeah, good question. Solid Reactor, I appreciate your energy. He's like, as a future student participant of Goal State, will we have a special Discord channel as an area for various discussions, tips, etc.? One or more of the tiers of the course will provide that for you. So yes, I'm trying to price it in the tiering so that there's like the most vanilla version of it possible, and then like you can get more and more stuff, which includes, actually it goes all the way down to written materials as well. Like, so there'll actually be a written component of all the videos for people who want to read rather than actually having to sit and go through. So you'll actually get a mini book. It'll be a PDF because I'm not printing it, but you'll be able to get a PDF of it, of all the lectures and materials that will help you as well. That's a good question. Also, will we be able to get a diploma or certificate after taking the course? That is something I'm looking into, and that's also critically why looking at these online platforms is like Coursera, etc. I think is valuable, because I would like you to come out of it with a little something to say, hey, I've got a certificate saying that I completed this course. That is something I do want to get done. I can't say definitively at the moment, but that is something I want to do. Wait, Sorry, I'm just writing a note to myself on something that I just thought of. Right, there we go. That goes in the to-do list. Oh, every game permanently gains +5 chip. Every played card permanently gains +5 chips when scored. Ooh. It's interesting. I was going to say, if you've never played Balatro, watching me play it very slowly right now must be very annoying. Yeah, grab an ace. There we go. I never play a 3 of the kind, but why not? All spades are debuffed. Gosh, why didn't I just get rid of that? Oh no, keep that. Away with thee. Oh, you... Well, it does contain 3 of a kind. So let's just try it. I don't actually know if this works. It did actually work. There we go. Fantastic. Going back to the questions. Will Goal State go over the AI source code of Fear? Yeah, so like I said, one of the things I want to do is analyses. And that is a stretch goal at the moment, whether we can actually fit that in entirely. But the idea here is that we are going to do several breakdowns of source code of existing games and talk through it. So imagine what we've done already with Fear, but I had things like... Actually, I have source code for about half a dozen games lying around, and even some of the decompilations as well. So we could do things like Half-Life, we can do Fear, we can do Command & Conquer, we could look at the Mario Kart decompilation, but there's also like a whole bunch of other source code of games I have lying around that we could eventually do as well. Because a lot of games have eventually just became abandonware, and so they've just dumped the source code online and people can access it. But yes, that is something I would like to do. Commander Farsight, would there be subtitles added to the videos as that would help me with progressing due to my dyslexia? Yes, absolutely. You know me, I try to put subtitles on all of my videos. Critically, right now, it'll only be in English because I actually went away and did the costing on porting it to non-English languages, and I don't want to do it with machine translation just because we're covering a lot of technical stuff, and a lot of these machine translations for localization are not good at that. But I was looking into getting people to do it, and that would be expensive. Let's see. Andrew says it would be great if, as well as the theory, I'd leave with a bit more confidence picking or recommending the right architecture for the level of complexity the game has planned. Okay, so the third course that I've got, or the third class of this course, is about designing AI for games. And critically, that's what you're getting into there is a really interesting problem. You're talking about, the complexity of like using GOP versus HTNs versus FSMs, right? So you're going to start thinking about the connectivity of your states. How often do you transition from one state over to another in an FSM? Is it going to get too complicated? Could you rework that as a behavior tree? And so we actually, one of the tasks I have built into the designing class is let's do the exact same thing in 3 different architectures, and we'll talk about how it works in different ways. And critically, you'll know how to do it in an FSM, a behavior tree, and GOP if you've done the game AI class. So it's like, right, let's build it this way. And what are the things that we're finding interesting? What are the things we're finding challenging? Because also you have to think about how behavior trees are top-down design. You'd start with the high-level abstract thing and then you burrow it down. GOP is actually bottom-up design. You have a bunch of individual actions that then you're at the mercy of the algorithm for it picking them in the right order. In fact, HTNs are also top-down because they prevent the anarchy of the planner just gluing actions together randomly, because more often than not it will glue task networks, compound tasks together, which sure, it will then find a bunch of primitive tasks to put together as well. Unpop Avocado says, absolutely, could you please share the name of the book? I'm going to jump over here. Yeah, so it's Artificial Intelligence, A Modern Approach. Actually, I'm just going to type it into the chat for you. By Russell and Norvig. Right, so I bring that up. I use that as an example, right? because anybody who has studied AI on a theoretical level at a university has a copy of that book or has read that book. It is the Bible. If you are interested in starting out on understanding the basics of AI, from ranging from classical symbolic techniques to understanding the core principles of how machine learning works, you probably have read a version of Russell and Norvig. And this is, I think that's slightly out of date now. I think that's the 3rd international edition. I think they might be on the 4th edition now. But fantastic book. If you're just trying to understand everything, go and have a look at it. Playing with any mods. I've thought about it, Ethan. I've thought about it. How many digits in price? I will come back to you on that. I am still playing with, what I'm trying to figure out is the balance on how much to charge for it, but also how much I think I can get away with. I'm trying to figure out the budget, really. I have an idea of, I'm trying to figure out what the minimum viable is for me to get away with this, and it doesn't actually cost me money in the long run to do it, because then I'm like, all right, well, I made X amount of money and now I'm stuck doing this for 6 months. So I'm still playing with the budget right now. So I don't want to confirm numbers, but the early access is under £100. So, which in America, that'll be like $110 or something. That's the early access. Anyway. As a 3D artist making a game, says Aurora Boreal, should I learn to code too if people like Jensen Huang says it's going to be automated? I think there's always value in learning to code. I do think it's a 21st century skill. Understanding the analytical process of, it's a problem solving issue, right? Trying to learn how to write code. It's a problem solving task. I should practice more art, funnily enough. I haven't done as much of that as I should have. I was almost an art major, and then I ended up going to do computer science instead, because I thought there's no way I'll get money doing this. Funny how life turns out, huh? Okay. That's a weird joker. Now let's just get it. Oh, I like that one. So that's up to 1.25 multiplier. Okay, great. Will there be slides that we can download? Yes, there will be on the premium tiers a full set of slides. So actually, critically, this actually ties into one of the things I'm doing, is that on certain tiers you'll be able to access a full set of slides that you can go and read at your own pace. But also, there's an academic and studio license that will be available where universities can take those slides and utilize them in ways that fit their own teaching, as long as it complies with the license. Same thing with any game studios. So that was Alan's question. Indra, it's not going to be in the 10k range, right? No. First of all, Kickstarter doesn't actually allow you to sell anything. I think the maximum I can charge for anything is £8,000, which I'm not going to charge you 8 grand for it. Triple digis, maybe, not quadruple digis, but yeah. Sorry, Sad Smell Games. Well, it says to Aurora, well, Balatro is the shittiest code I've ever seen, and it's sold millions. It's not the cleanest of code, but hey, they made it work for them. It was interesting reading through the code myself, because I started thinking how I would have engineered it. Hey, he's doing alright. He, she, they, I have no idea as to who actually made this game, but they're clearly doing well. Oh, this card's great. Ooh. 1, 2, 3. Ah. A2. Oh, I don't know. Is this a No, ace. No, no. Ah! Hey, hang on. Suit. Oh, I do have a flush right there. Couldn't see it. Woohoo! Let's go in. Yeah, okay. We have done... No! Did I just end the... Okay, I thought I'd ended the Q&A there. No, I didn't. I just ended the chat. That question. Just... how many Kickstarters am I planning to start? Just one at the moment. The idea is, as the name implies, it's to get the first course off the ground. Because then ideally, once it goes live, then people who didn't support the Kickstarter can access it as well and pay for it. And that will allow me, hopefully, finance me to make further courses. Or, on the other hand, if this Kickstarter is massively, stupidly successful, and I'm a cynic, so I'm wanting to say no, but also I've been told in all the life books that I'm reading that I should be positive and say yes when it is a groundbreaking success. One of the stretch goals could very well be, okay, we finance the next one, because I've already spec'd out and written out what the next course is. Oh, sad smell. I'm a comp sci major, doing your masters. Often find myself in a Jonathan Blow situation where I care more about the code than the game. Any tips on how to change my approach? I was going to say no one will ever fucking read it, but then we were just talking about how people are ripping apart the Balatro source code. I think it's important to strike a balance on, I think that this is functionally complete and does what it should do, versus worrying about engineering it to perfection. There's always going to be parts of your game that you're going to be like, oh, that doesn't quite work the way I wanted. Or critically, having worked on games with teams and studios, lines of code that have a comment above them that just goes, do not change this, never undo this, because it breaks the entire game. That's a horrible one. Tarot. Yeah, use a tarot card. Right, hang on. Select two cards, convert the left card into the right card. I always get this wrong. There we go. That's exactly what I meant to do. Woohoo! Also, the other thing that tends to happen, of course, is that you have deadlines. And so you end up focusing more on ensuring the quality of the code on the first pass, so it does what you need to do, and then you move on. Oh, Lion says, on commenting code, I think Doom 3 is some of the best commenting layout for reading. I've never read it. I should go and have a look. That sounds interesting. Okay, what am I doing? Oh. Nice. 2 pair. Okay. Yeah, why not? Open a planet card. Let's see. Will you be doing the marking yourself? No. 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 Actually, I haven't figured that part out yet for some of the homework stuff. Some of it answers itself, because it'll work or it won't. But, yeah. I need to figure that part out a little bit. Can't get my TAs to come in and do it, Alan, you know what I mean? Okay, Lion, I'm going to go and dig out the Doom 3 source code at some point. Maybe we finally do the AI of Doom 3 episode. Appears out of random bit at the back. Throws, attacks you, runs away. Oh, right, that was from my tarot. I was like, how on earth have I got that Joker? Hmm. Not a good start. Oh. No. That doesn't help me at all. I'm out of discards as well. Shit. I'm gonna have to just play that. Nope. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, I should have done it 5 down to ace. That would have been better. 2 pair. Actually, hang on. Have I not got a... No, I don't. Alan, all my game AI assignments are self-marking. The grade mostly depends on the pro. I started doing that years ago. Yes, I did exactly the same thing because it makes your life so much easier when you're coming to, like, marking it. Actually, also, a lot of my assignments were written such that it was hard for them to plagiarize it. So that, because it was, hey, go and make your own thing that satisfies these certain key criteria. So even if they did find a bunch of code and ripped it off the internet, later on they had to then explain how everything then fits into something I tried to tell them to do in the back end. Or actually, I had a buddy of mine who's still a lecturer, and what his solution oh no. No, you know what? Let's get rid of that and buy that one. And then he often writes assignments that are so complex and require such bespoke code that it's almost impossible for them to plagiarize it. Or like apparently students, well, we couldn't even find anything on GPT when they were looking it up because he gets them to write like operating system kernels that run as a native. Actually, he gets them to write operating systems that run on Windows. Which is funny. Have I played Moonring? I have not played a lot of games this year. I'm really struggling to keep up with my backlog, just because. So funnily enough, I did the Fear retrospective, which meant I went back and replayed Fear, and then the next episode of AI in Games, which will hopefully be out in a few weeks' time, I've sat and replayed a game again, recently on my console. So I've got all these games that are coming out, and I still haven't played them, and it makes me a little sad. But hang on, Moonring, is that? Oh, I have not seen this. Oh, that's got very big oh, Ultima style RPG. Okay. Yeah, I was not aware of this game at all. Interesting. Alrighty. What am I doing? Straight, flush, straight. Let's go. Ooh, full house right there. Is that still on? Yeah, that plus 12 multiplier. There we go. Oh, shh. Nicely done. Oh, that's quite a cool one. Joker gains +3 chips per discarded heart card. Suit changes every round. This one's not working for me, I don't think. So... Actually, if I've got this card and that card, I should probably buff my 3 of a kinds. So yeah, I won't lie that announcing the goal state thing was quite terrifying, because I've been talking about doing this for a while now. And actually, I think Handsome Jack was in the chat earlier. That's my brother. Like we were actually talking about it last year. Originally, I was going to try and launch goal state last year. And just work commitments meant I was like, I don't think I can do it this year, because I had a bunch of stuff I was doing for different studios, and it would have been too much to spread myself out. So I was like, okay, this year. But I was like, because I'm not going to have as much on, and also I want to have a run at it. I want to just try and do this, and if we can do it, that'd be great. But though, funnily enough, so this is critically it, is it's like I want to make sure that if this is successful, then I know it's like, look, financially this was successful. The Kickstarter was funded. This means I can block out a bunch of months to just work on this, doing goal state and AI in games videos, and that's all I'm doing. And I essentially just say, look, with the exception of one-off consultancies, it's like I'm busy. I don't really have time to commit to working on studio stuff. So, because like right now, for example, I'm actually like, right now, I'm technically working for like 3 different companies, doing different stuff at the moment, and doing my own thing. So it's a whole thing. And funnily enough, I had somebody ask me in the YouTube comments of the announcement video, like, why don't you just release it piecemeal, 1 video at a time? It's like, because when I say that it's 50 hours of content, I genuinely think there's about 30 hours of videos in it. You've seen how long it takes me to make a 20-minute video every month. 30-minute video every month. Actually, there's a video coming out next week which is about 30 minutes, but that's quite a chill one, and then like June's episode is like a big meaty one. So yeah, like for me it's like, no, I need to be able to sit and do the whole thing uninterrupted, because also if I do it gradually, the quality of it will change, because I'll gradually get better at what I'm trying to do, or the style will change slightly. And whereas I want it to feel as uniform and consistent as possible. Like, if you look at AI in games, right? I've joked about it recently in the 10-year episode. Look at the very first videos I ever made, and then go and watch that Spider-Man episode, and they're very different. The production values are different. The voice is different. How I present it is different. Like, and that's from experience. And that's from just continually peddling this and putting this shit on the internet and hoping that someone's going to care. So for me, it's like, no, if I'm going to do this as a course, I need to do it all at once. Because otherwise, you'll be watching the start of it and going, oh, this course isn't very good. And then, oh, at the end, you go, oh, this course is actually not bad. It's like, surely we should have a bit of consistency across the board. It's either all not bad or all not very good. All shit or all great. One or the other, you know? 7, 7, 5, 4. This is a bad idea. Discard. Okay. No, just keep it in. Actually, just keep it in and then just play it as... because that card works. And then play that 2 pair. Oh, that worked. Amazing. Okay, I think this is my new favorite Joker. I like this card. Queen, Jack, 10, 9, 8, up. Jack, 8. But not that one, because that one gives me a bonus multiplier. Alrighty. Any more questions coming in? Am I not seeing them because they're going into the wrong thing or the other thing? Solid Reactor says, I begin projects and research with making mind maps. Well, we have a visual elements as learning material or mostly text audio. I'm very visual when it comes to learning. Mental overview is very helpful. Yeah, so like definitely when I do if you've never, I was going to say, most of you have never seen me lecture because you never went to the universities that I worked at. I don't like text-heavy lecture slides. I like to be a more visual teacher because, and funnily enough, a lot of that has bled into how AI in games works. I kind of don't like the bits where I have to put lots of text on screen in episodes because I'd rather that the game footage I'm showing you or something else like a diagram or whatever can reinforce it. So I like to have a lot of visual material in there. But also I will try, and I'm actually going to make a note of that because I have this connective tissue throughout. I have this whole thing of how everything connects to one another. Of actually drawing the mind maps into it. I hadn't actually thought to do that. I do it as my own process. I don't draw a physical mind map, but I actually write mostly spreadsheets, which then connect to each other. So my mind maps are spreadsheets because I'm a very boring old man. But in theory, that is something we could definitely do. And I think critically, like, that kind of feedback is useful, and that's actually one of the things I wanted to do the Q&A for, is just to hear people say, hey, are you going to do this? Because sometimes it's like, oh, you know what? I hadn't thought to do that. One of the things for me that's quite exciting is that often when you teach, you're often teaching against constraints, right? You have time constraints, you have organizational constraints. Now it's like, hey, I could actually do a bunch of stuff that maybe I would really like to do that I couldn't do before. Or just do something a little bit more wild because I have the opportunity to do that. So these conversations are useful for me. I have seen your lovely flowcharts. Have you? I think so. Yeah, like not text-heavy lectures. I'm not a fan. You know what I hate? You know what? Hang on. Let's just come out the game for a minute. You know what I hate? People that teach by giving you a slide of text and reading aloud what is on the slide. What the actual fuck is wrong with these people? Also, as much as I love you all my academic friends who then give me a talk about their academic paper, which is just a regurgitation of the paper, like I could have just read the paper, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, I hate that. In fact, if you've ever seen me give a talk at an event, I actually like to have it mostly visual, mostly images. If you look at the actually on AI in Games Plus, I just did, it was at my London Dev Conference talk. I turned it into a video and I shared it with everyone. If you watch that, there's a bit of text mostly in the back half of it, but actually the front half of that is almost exclusively visual. And the reason that it becomes more text heavy is at the end of that talk is I wanted to make sure it was written down to make sure that people read it and internalized it, because I was trying to make some very specific points towards the end of that talk. But the first half of that talk is almost exclusively visual and me just talking through what you're seeing. So yeah. Oh yeah. So the visual diagram for the AI 101 episode, I thought that was an interesting experiment because I'd never tried to do that in a video before, and I quite liked it. And actually, there is an AI 101 video I'm working on where we're going to revisit that structure because I found that was a really useful thing to utilize. And full credit where it's due, that diagram, the inspiration for that was reading. Hang on, there's another textbook coming up. Here we go. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. Oh, there we go. I was sitting reading Artificial Intelligence in Games by Professors Tegelius and Yanakakis, who run the Game AI Summer School, which is going to be in Malta next month. I'm going to be there. It's a good book. And funnily enough, so this is a good book if you're interested in a lot of academic-y stuff that's emerging in games that's actually quite applicable. Oh, I've still got a bookmark. Oh, it's one of my business cards as a bookmark. I was rereading this last year because I was trying to writing a professional training course for a game for a game studio that I was running, and so yeah, I was rereading this. This is a really good book. Critically though, and this is a point I made in that article, is this like a lot of these other books, you have to have probably read another book or two in order to really appreciate what's going on here, because this book does a really good job of explaining a lot of existing research that has happened in games, which was also very weird reading it, because also I know most of the people that did this research, and I remember this research being published, but critically, it doesn't explain how to write half the algorithms that are in it. It expects you to be able to go and do that yourself. So, like, this is a really good book, but I think there's an important caveat here that you need to have a background in AI to really appreciate it. I'm just going to slowly reveal, like, the 20 books that I have back there. But anyway. Oh, that's a plus 12 if it has a straight. You know what? I think I might... Oh no, what am I doing? Because I've got the other card there for the 3 and a kit. What have I done? And I just... Motherfuck. Right. Moving on. Jack says, that's my #1 hate from lectures, even now working in the public sector. I hate when people do presentations, then read the slides to you. It's like, my eyes work, mate. Like, you know, if you see me doing it in a YouTube video, I often bring the text up to reinforce something I'm saying, and the reason I'm doing it is I really want it to get into your head. And also, if, like, say I'm itemizing and making a list of items in the video, I'm putting the text up there because I want you to understand I'm explaining it as a list of items, rather than just being a paragraph of writing that I've narrated. So I'm trying to... It's interesting because I'm literally just... I'm literally writing this workshop right now. If you're in the Discord server, you know about this. I'm doing a workshop with a bunch of PhD students right now on how to do video creation and how to do videos about the research. And one of the things I talk about is how to come up with a visual language that supports your writing, and critically, like, how you present things. It's been interesting coming up with this, because I've also had to start thinking about how to express this to people who, like, for me, because I know this is my internal process for making a video, but I've never had to write it down. But even things like how I use different types of transitions as part of a structure of a paragraph when I'm putting it on the screen for you to be able to follow along, you'll notice I actually have a visual language. When go back and watch a video, when do I do a crossfade? When do I do a dip to black and I come up? When do I do a wipe transition versus, you know, just a hard cut? And you'll see that I actually use them in very specific contexts. So... Kieran says, howdy all, currently watching this whilst working on my last ever university deadline due tomorrow. Well, best of luck. I hope it goes well. How's that feel? Is that exciting? Knowing that it's done? It's done, it's dusted, you're moving on? That is quite exciting, actually. Wait, oh no, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can't count. Whoosh. This card is my favorite thing. This one. This 1 in 4 chance of upgrading the poker hand. I love this card. So yeah, it's funny, like, a lot of this stuff is going to have an impact on how I do the goal state videos, because it's like, if it's just a PowerPoint being narrated, then what's the point in doing it? I want it to feel... And then this is an interesting balancing act for me, right? Because every episode, I have to kill my darlings. I have to, like, kill the episode and move on. Because, funnily enough, actually, if you're a patron and you happen to have visited the video dev chat channel in the Discord server, you know what the next episode of AI in Games is. AI in Games number 75. I've been working on this episode for so long, I am now at a point I'm having to cut it. Because it's like, I want to do this, and I'm like, well, that's too much, or it's difficult for me to put it together, or whatever reason, so I'm moving away from doing that. But yeah, it's you gotta figure out how to balance it between, is this enough for the purposes of what I'm trying to do. Yep. Okay. Anyway, where was I? Oh god, no, that's a dumb one to get. 4 of a kind, flush. Oh no, let's just do flush. I think straight flush is a bit ambitious, mate. Ooh. Let's go for it. Extra large blind. This is a nasty one. Ace, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Straight. Yeah! Oh. Full house, queens over nines. I don't think I'm going to get this. Two. Yeah, hang on. What's my... A straight is currently my highest ranking. I really need a straight. This is ugly. No. Alright, get rid of it. Oh, Christ, the bendy bus. Queen, Jack. 10, 9, 8. Yeah, we can do it. Oh, it's almost a straight flush as well. Oh, what a pain in the ass. Yes! Go! I got one more hand, and I got one discard left. This is getting stressed. I shouldn't be playing this while I'm trying to have a Q&A with you guys. This is a really bad idea, in hindsight. How long have we been doing this? How long have we been online? Oh, we've been going for like an hour and a bit. That's good. Right. Okay. Oh! No, that's an 8. Oh. I don't think that's enough. If I do a full house, ace, 8s over jacks, I don't think that's enough. Oh, I'm gonna regret this. Right. No, this isn't gonna work. Told you. Ah. Anyway. The Branching Factor podcast is hosted and produced by me, Tommy Thompson, with support from Anne Sullivan, George Osborne, Mike Cook, and Kwang Yun. Our theme music is provided courtesy of Ben Ridge. The logo and thumbnail art is thanks to Helen Odell. Special thanks to Shraddha Gupta and Phoebe Trigg for additional production support. And of course, to all of you out there listening. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Branching Factor. Wherever you are in the world, be sure to stay safe, have fun, and we will be back.